No, we're not on yet.
Oh, we're not on. We're on now.
I think we're on now.
We've got voice. We've got movement. We've got the
microphone in.
Light of life. Welcome, Rebecca Elliott.
And welcome to you, Kirsty Hudson, comedian.
Yes.
Do you like comedian or comedian? I find comedian a bit patronising.
I just think comedian. I just
comedian.
think. Yeah, I think we're all the same.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah. How am I? That is a big question for me this week.
How the hell are you?
Do you know what? I'm glad to be here.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm good. A bit of a weird week. My daughter's, it will be her birthday tomorrow. She would have been 15.
Okay.
As you know. She's not with us, but we'll celebrate the day anyway.
Right. How does that...
But it's always a bit of a weird one.
I imagine.
There's the birthday, then there's the death day.
Right.
And they both have a different kind of feel, you know.
Yeah.
But birthdays they have good memories as well.
Yes.
So it's okay. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just had a couple of things to start with. But they're not very big. The first was the one we did last week, which I enjoyed a lot, which was parties. Did you notice that our font made it look like panties?
Oh, beautiful.
And I didn't know, maybe in the future we could do a whole one on panties.
Well, we can't because it's a word I dislike with a strong passion.
And yet you like the word titties.
I like the word titties. I don't like the word panties.
Okay.
Ooh.
But in it, we could talk about...
A bit of bile comes up when I say it.
Does it?
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
It's lovely. We could talk about how the whole moddy body, or whatever make you use, the period pants.
Oh, period pants.
Changed my life.
Life-changing.
Absolutely life-changing.
I think I have a problem with this. See how this just slips down?
You talk about your microphone. Other
Yeah.
people can't see that.
No,
do I need to take a tool to it, as you
You're
said?
going to need to take a tool to it.
Do you need pliers?
I need something because look, this is why my voice sometimes goes off because look, it just slips down.
Can you not just tighten up that one?
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe
Can you try that?
Maybe it's just a
Before I have
slight.
to find pliers.
Maybe it's just a slight turn of the knob. Maybe that's all it is.
I do have pliers. If you, all right, fine.
Don't know why.
Shit
Because
out.
look, I don't know why it does it.
It's because you're always fiddling with it.
Is it? That is
Can you stop feeling it?
so much
Whenever
better.
you do that, you loosen the nut. All right, stop loosening the nut.
I will stop fiddling with nuts.
Anyway,
Yes.
period pants.
But I love them.
Very sturdy gusset. Also, there was another thing I was going to talk about. And that is how whispering is contagious.
Oh, yes.
See how you did that there?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the other day I was on the phone to my husband.
Okay.
I think I was on the football field and I was talking in whispered tones because I was probably talking about the other people who were standing next to me. And he was at home talking to me on his phone and he was whispering back. And then we suddenly realised, why are you whispering?
And you do it automatically.
But you do it.
So correct.
And equally, he said that this week at work, one of the, I think it was the office staff, had completely lost her voice.
Right.
Which is awful, but also I love it when you lose your voice.
I never lose my voice.
Oh, it's fun.
I'd love to.
Anyway, she'd completely lost her voice. And he just said it's really strange talking to her because she kind of mouths the words and has this... But he said I just keep whispering back because it feels like... Whispering's contagious. It was a minor point. I just thought it was...
Whispering is contagious. Yawning is contagious.
Yeah, but that's physically contagious, isn't it? Whereas whispering is more of a mental...
Yeah. Sneezing isn't contagious, is it?
No, that's mental that you might even think that.
Well, I would...
Reached the ripe old age of 40, whatever you are.
40, I'm 45.
45? You say that very posh.
45.
Oh, what was the other word we found that you said weirdly this week? Twice.
Twice. It's not a weird way to say twice.
So weird.
No, anywho, I took my...
Twice. Did you do it twice?
I've been using big words this week, haven't I? Although I did use...
Have you?
Yeah. I used pious the other day thinking it meant better than anyone else.
But it kind of does.
No, it's more religious. It's more like
condescending in a religious way.
Yeah. So anyway, I know now what that means.
Okay.
And so I went to Brighton. Took my nephew who lives in Brighton, took him to his university in Nottingham.
For the first time? First week at university?
First week in university. Whoa. He's doing a very big boy, hard degree. He's doing business, international relations. No, I'm lying.
I like how you're bigging him up, but also patronising
him.
He's doing a big boy degree, is he?
Big boy degree. Mm-hmm. Business, international relations and politics.
Okay, international what now?
Relations.
Okay, you said it right.
IR, as he calls it.
Okay.
And he's getting all his meals. Like, he gets all his meals.
Really?
I lived off pot noodles and baked beans on toast, like every typical student did.
Yeah, you're not special.
He has an ensuite bathroom.
Really?
Yeah.
Come on.
I know. I had to share mine with 11 people in one flat.
You're supposed to live in just crap at university. That's the point.
Not when you go to one of the better ones, let me tell you that for nothing.
All right.
We all have finished. I'm in Brighton.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I'm in Brighton.
Yeah.
The Labour conference is happening right next to my hotel.
Oh. Do you have any follow-up stories? Or was that...
Well,
I mean, that's mildly interesting, but perhaps not podcastable.
I was surprised with the amount of security that was happening there.
Oh.
We were staying in the Grand, obviously, where I do believe where the bombings happened, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
You know, Margaret Thatcher was there.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Tebbett's wife. Anyway, I think all that happened.
Yeah.
Norman Tebbett lives in Bury St
He
Edmunds.
does. The house with the blue door.
Yeah. And anyway, so that all happened. So then I'm walking round the corner to go. This probably doesn't pick up that much, but I'm walking around to the corner, and there's lots of security men with like big guns.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was huge amounts of security. I'm not sure.
Wow.
And like proper, like when I say security,
yeah,
I'm talking like the terrorist bollards.
Really?
Yeah, all around the convention centre.
Load of old bollards.
Oh, lots of bollards. And I just was surprised that it just didn't feel that it just.
Is that really necessary?
I just felt weird. It just felt weird.
Is the Labour conference important enough to warrant such high armoury?
I went to a lovely restaurant.
Yeah. Can you think through the story in your head first and think, is it interesting? Okay. Because what happened here is you came in and I said, have you got anything for the beginning? You said, no, but I'll come up with something. And I'm thinking you're just this literally verbal diarrhea. Just I've been to a restaurant and I've been to Brighton.
It was a fancy restaurant.
Fancy.
Vegetarian. Tete it's called.
Yeah. What's it called?
Tete.
Tete?
Tete.
What? That's not a thing.
It's French.
Tater?
It's not French.
Like potato?
It's very vegetarian.
Don't look it up. Don't you pick up your phone.
I was going to Google it for you.
Don't Google stuff because then we lose you for hours.
I'm going to say it's called Terre. Right? It's a restaurant I go to often.
Yeah.
It's fully vegetarian, so
Okay.
it meets all of my needs.
Right.
I got it to you. And we had the tapas share.
You did send me a picture of that, and it looked like someone had shot a jellyfish.
It was
right on the table.
But let me tell you, that dead jellyfish tasted so good.
Okay.
Tated.
So good.
In Tete.
Okay.
And I had a chocolate martini.
Chocolate martini.
Oh, it was a little bit of delicious.
Diabetic's dream.
You're listening to Don't Laugh But. Two women talking with enthusiasm about what they reckon, as if it in some way matters.
Okay, so welcome to Don't Laugh But.
A podcast straight from the twatmosphere.
With me, Rebecca Elliott, an author.
And me, Kirsty Hudson, a comedian.
Mm-hmm. So this week we're talking about disability.
Right, yes we are.
Which is a huge subject.
Yes.
And I think we need to lay out a few caveats at the beginning.
One is that I literally don't know what I'm talking about.
I was going to say, one is I don't know what caveat means.
A caveat I do because my husband says it.
Okay, fine.
It's like a little side note.
Yeah.
A caveat.
Okay, anyway. So, yeah, the first is, it's such a huge subject. And also the word disability, and why I guess we have to, but we've lumped everyone with a disability into the same group. It's like lumping everyone who wears glasses into the same group, like they're all one person.
Absolutely.
Of one personality. And it's just crazy. Obviously, disability covers a huge range.
Yeah, absolutely.
From, mental disabilities, physical disabilities, the very much seen, we all imagine the wheelchair, to the unseen, the chronic fatigue, the chronic pain.
Mm-hmm. Crohn's disease.
You just I wasn't going to specifically name all the disabilities you've ever heard of.
Just gave up. Also, things like dyslexia.
Yes, exactly. It covers this huge range. And neither of us are disabled.
No.
And so we're not coming at this in any way from our own personal
absolutely not
experience. However, my daughter was born with severe, profound cerebral palsy, so she had severe mental and physical disabilities.
Right.
And we had her for 10 years. So through that, obviously, I was very much immersed in the life of the disabled. She went to a wonderful school. I met lots of other parents of disabled kids. I met lots of other disabled people. And all of that, just to say that I've got some, I'm coming from a space there. You obviously work with disabled people.
Yes. I mean, I've done it since I was sort of a 16-year-old, did sort of summer schemes for sort of certain schools where people learn disabilities and all kinds of things. And I run a drama workshop every Wednesday with some adults with so-called learning disabilities. But I just want to say something about this, which I find really interesting every time I go in. For a start, I literally forget they have any kinds of different needs to myself.
Right.
The lines are incredibly blurred when I walk in
with you.
Because I'll generally have my cardigan on inside out or something like wrong or a bit of food down my face.
This morning you have stains on your boobs.
I have stains from my and they'll go, Kirsty, or if I have my tartan trousers and they go, why are you in your pajamas? Did you?
Yeah.
You know, but I honestly forget.
Yes.
When I'm with them, they don't seem to have any kinds of different needs at all. They're just...
And they're people. They're like, it's such an obvious... They're different personalities. They're different people.
Yes.
You don't need to see the disability. So all that stuff, and I think that'll probably crop up again later.
Sure.
But I think we were quite fearful about doing this subject, but I really wanted to do it, as obviously it's quite close to my heart.
Of course.
But there is this awkwardness. There is this fear of offending that we all have.
Exactly what
a lot of which is totally fair enough. But a lot of which does nothing but add to the barriers that disabled people already have against them.
Yeah.
The fact that people are awkward about it and nervous about it, scared of saying the wrong thing.
Absolutely.
Want to stare, don't want to stare, want to ask questions, don't want to... All of that kind of crap that just needs to go out the window. 1 in 5 people are disabled.
Really?
In this country. 1 in 5 people.
That's...
So these are not outsiders. This is not some marginalised tiny group. This is just people. Mm-hmm. What's freaky about that statistic, so 22% of people in this country are disabled.
22%?
And yet, speaking to, and I hate the word normal, it'll probably crop up a bit here, but typical people, apparently only half of them say they know a disabled person. So clearly there's something going wrong there. If the 1 in 5 people are disabled and yet we're claiming to only half of us actually know a disabled person, there are barriers to disabled people being integrated into society, being able to take part in, normal society. And us not being able to talk about it is not helpful. Does that make sense?
It so does. And
so that's why I thought we could just plough on and talk on nonsense and see what happens.
Absolutely. And I think all of that stuff about being fearful is really interesting because it is because that fear of not wanting to offend, that fear of pointing out the differences or whatever it is.
And often, it comes from a place of kindness, often.
Yeah.
Not always, but often. But still, I think those barriers have got to be broken down.
Do you know something that really infuriates me? That I just don't understand. So the people in my drama group sometimes have like a one-to-one support worker.
Sure.
Now, these people get paid very little to do this kind of work.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Now, I'm in my head, these are our potentially most vulnerable,
Yeah.
But because they don't seem to traditionally add something to society,
I was going to
whatever it is.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, crack on.
I'm opening the door.
Yeah, do it.
I just get really frustrated that I'm just like, they should have the best of the best in terms of support.
Yes.
And we seem to pay so little diligence to the people who are doing really, really important.
Care work is arguably one of the most important jobs in society.
Utterly.
And yet
absolutely.
It is so undervalued.
So undervalued.
Clemmy had to have, obviously a lot of different carers, a lot of which were absolutely wonderful. But there was a huge turnover of staff because the pay is so low. Mm-hmm. That it's hard to find that commitment. You're just staring at your phone. It's quite difficult to talk to you when you're just staring at your phone.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking up somebody. Sorry. Yes, sorry.
Looking things up. Just use your brain. It's okay.
Oh, you know how good my brain is. Well, I need the phone to. That basically is my brain.
Yeah. Your phone is your carer.
It's my care. Sometimes I think I should have a carer. I think sometimes that.
I know.
I basically need one. Now, this is the point you brought up about people not being integrated within the community, within the society.
Yes, this is the barrier. So there are physical barriers,
right?
Obviously, that disabled people have to overcome. Lack of ramps and all of that kind of stuff. But also there is the stigma and the social barriers,
right? Which
are a whole other thing, and all of that is tackleable. The physical barriers, obviously. We need more training. We need more ramps. We need, bus drivers to not roll their eyes when they have to put the thing down. A lot of them don't. A lot of them do. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, we also need to just celebrate differentness, or not see it, or appreciate it, and not be scared of it.
Yeah, I think fear plays a big part. It's I don't know how I would live if I had a daughter like that, or had a son like that, or if I was like that myself. How do I live? How do I function in the world?
Right.
Now, I wonder if this is a difference over here. Now, in the States. So if you have quite an autistic child, yes, for example, like with quite extreme needs, that's called,
because again, autism just covers this
huge. I'm not talking to someone who I'm talking someone with very extreme, can't really communicate effectively.
Absolutely.
Now it's very likely they will go into a typical school.
Yes.
So, and over here, that doesn't seem to happen in the same way. We have more special schools.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is an issue. I'm not sure if the rights and wrongs, all of that. I'm not trying to make a judgment on that.
No, I'm with you. I think there are swings and roundabouts, and I like the fact that both our kids go to a primary school where they have hearing impaired unit for the area. So there's a lot of hearing impaired kids at the school.
Right.
So our kids come out of primary school not seeing that as a thing.
No.
And that's the thing. When you have disabled kids in with typical normal kids, normal kids don't see it as a thing.
No.
This is the thing with children. They come into this world with no preconceptions, no prejudices at all, and a natural, just inquisitive nature. And we found this so often with Clemmy, walking her around in her wheelchair.
Right.
That you'd meet children in the park or whatever who would be fascinated by her. They'd want to hold her hand. They'd be asking questions. How did this happen? All this. And and it'd just be delightful, right? But the parents would shuffle them away awkwardly, like maybe with a teeth-sucking smile, that kind of like, oh, I'm so sorry kind of look, but would be just super awkward.
Right.
And what happens between that really inquisitive child who's just like, this is just a thing and I want to know about it and she's really beautiful and I want to hold her hand, and the adult who's just like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to walk away.
Right.
What happens there? And partly what happens is the lack of seeing disabled people in our schools, but also in the media in a normal way, not like it's a thing, not a documentary, which seems to be the media's safe way of covering disabilities.
Yeah.
We'll do a documentary about them.
I mean, you do have like the really handsome guy who happens to be in a wheelchair. He's got I think he's got little dreads, and he's a really handsome guy. He's in his, and that seems to be more kind and normal. And I think the CBeebies and things like that do seem to try and normalise it more. I don't know if enough.
It is coming up enough, but when you think about 1 in 5 people disabled, that's what should be represented on TV.
That's not a representation.
Not like, EastEnders had a Down syndrome girl in there once.
Yeah,
it should be 1 in 5.
Yeah,
or it shouldn't be a thing.
Interestingly, like, because there's a couple of people with Down syndrome in drama group. For a start, like, at least 2 of them should be on the television. I can't tell you the talent that they have. They are such phenomenal actors.
Right.
But interestingly, I get them to do an exercise sometimes for them to tell me 2 truths and 1 lie. Can't tell a lie.
Yeah, oh, really?
They can't. They don't.
Wow.
Like, there's no.
That's fantastic.
At the same time, is equally one of them is the biggest diva, and he doesn't really want to warm up exercises because I don't need to.
Because he's ready.
I'm ready to go.
He's ready for the stage. Come on.
You know, so it's that I love that divaness. I love it.
The world is so much richer for having kids and people with disabilities.
Oh, without a doubt. Absolutely.
The Down syndrome kids that I've known have just been the most delightful, loving, loved people. And again, I'm not lumping them all in, obviously.
No, of course, because
there are probably Downs people out there who are complete bastards.
Well,
but I'm just saying. And equally with Clemmy, who, and you talked about earlier about achievement and how we value people who achieve, people who contribute to society.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is part of the problem here. In that, obviously, a lot of disabled people contribute perfectly normally like everyone else. But when it comes to, severe disabilities or severe learning difficulties, they're not going to contribute to society in the way that we value, in the way of economic growth at all costs. And so that we need to value life for life's sake and happiness and joy and being, not doing, and all that stuff.
But that's I think very much the West kind of. I'm sure, I don't know I can't speak for other cultures, but in our. We have a very, if we can't mark the achievement in some kind of tangible way, we seem to dismiss it.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question real quick about emotions in terms of being Clemmy's mum? Like, in terms of how people responded, what was a response that you found the most challenging? Would it be like if someone felt sorry for you? Or if what would be a response that you would find?
I found that, I think disabled people find this a lot, and disabled parents, is that disabled people are either seen as heroes or they're pitied.
Okay.
And nothing in the middle. And I think that, you're either a Paralympian, or you're on Strictly overcoming your disabilities.
Overcoming.
Right?
Wow.
Or it's that kind of, that kind of bittersweet tale of people ploughing on despite it all. Right. Whereas actually our life with Clemmy was really joy-filled, and she was just serene and delightful and happy. And that urge to have people see that was right when you got just a lot of pity, and which is lovely, and I know it comes from a place of love.
Right.
And also people trying to see So they'd look at Clemmy in a wheelchair and go, well, you never know what's going on in her head though, do you? You don't know what she's understanding. Might be a little Stephen Hawking there, and you'd kind of be like, oh yeah, but like I've seen the brain scans. Clemmy's brain was mostly water. Like
right.
that's the fact, and that's a stark, horrible fact for other people. But for us, like this is Clemmy. She doesn't understand a lot, but she's perfect anyway, and she's just happy and loving and loved, and that's fine. But people, do you know what I mean? Trying to well, maybe, and also when she was really little, like, but you never know what she'll be able to do when she grows up. You never know because people surprise you, and these kids, and we did know, we absolutely knew she's never going to do anything, and that is fine, and she's just perfect anyway. So it was that constantly trying to compensate.
Wow.
And I think we have a lot of that with seeing disability on TV. It's that compensate. Like there was a series called Autistic Superstars.
Right.
Some kids, very few kids with autism, but some kids have, of course, that amazing ability to remember numbers or to be able to draw or whatever. So they were going through so again, I think we find that as a society acceptable.
But someone who is just...
Because they can do this.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Yeah,
so they've made up for
that's
it.
Interesting.
They've got a saving grace. God bless them.
Right.
Whereas actually the kids who like literally can't do any of that, we're kind of like, oh, I don't know how to value that. And of course you value that in the person. Like,
yeah. I know. Like, it's so interesting that we can't just see that as enough.
Yeah. And that's not just with disability. That's with all of us, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Like just to be enough. I think we've always, and I always seeing. We've said this before that we're something to be fixed. I definitely see myself as something to be fixed.
And with disability, it's visual.
Absolutely,
there is an issue there. We're all broken.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. And I wonder if we find an awkwardness in seeing disability because we're all broken. We all have these tragedies.
But it's so visually there.
But we're there. We can literally see it on the outside,
and that brings up something within ourselves that's very primal and very fearful, and that's interesting, isn't it? I think this is a very interesting conversation that we're having now, and like where.
Thanks. I think other people will be the judge of that.
I'm fascinated.
You're rating it halfway through. I give this conversation 5 out of 5 so far.
Yeah,
frankly,
that's a 5-star review from me. Let me tell you, I'm going straight onto Apple iTunes right now. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Were you going to follow that up with something, or just
no?
Just stopped to say
just wanted
we
to
are
review
doing
it.
fantastically well here.
I was nervous about this, and this is great.
You're listening to Don't Laugh But, like sitting in the pub garden with two of your best friends, but without the need to buy them drinks or pretend you're listening.
There's a great guy called Martin Sibley. Go and see his website, who's an author.
Oh, okay.
He's disabled. He's written a book called Everything is Possible. But he talks about what we talked about earlier, the social barriers.
Right.
So it's the physical barriers that people have got to overcome. Mm-hmm. Which made me think, by the way, I really, really hope there is a disabled steps tribute band called Ramps. That was a side point.
Beautiful.
But thanks.
Beautiful.
Thanks. You can do what you did the other day when I told you a joke and you didn't laugh. You just went, that's funny.
It's fine.
Because you can't just say, that's funny. But because you have to laugh.
Well, sometimes just things that are just funny, though. It's like, there's not many we're going to go,
you're a stand-up comedian. How do you like if the people in your audience just went,
that's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, he talks about the social barriers and the need to overthrow them. Mm-hmm. And has some interesting statistics that 44% of disabled people have missed social events or family gatherings because of barriers related to their impairment.
Wow.
55% of disabled people felt they are unable to engage in hobbies or pastimes as often as they would like because of barriers linked to their impairment. 42% of disabled people said they've been unable to go on holiday as often as they would like. This is exactly what we have with Clemmy. Because when you have a disabled child, the family becomes disabled. We're not going to swan off without her.
Right.
So we couldn't go abroad for 10 years. You just can't do it.
Okay.
Even if you could get her on the airplane, which you couldn't, you wouldn't get insurance.
Really?
So you couldn't go abroad.
Wow.
And of course public transport is at best daunting and at worst just unfeasible.
Yes.
Because
I imagine, was her wheelchair quite big as well?
Big wheelchair, heavy wheelchair.
Right. Yeah. I have a friend who has a similar.
It was funky thoh, can I just say?
Oh, really?
Her wheelchair was awesome.
Wow, I have a friend who has a daughter very similar to Clemmy.
Yeah.
She's still alive now. She's gosh, how old will she be? 19 or 20? No, God, she might be 21 now.
Yeah.
And they never thought she'd live past 3 months. It was very but interestingly, she's had things from the job centre, fit for work. interviews
right
for her, and she has, I think, the capacity of maybe 3 months old. I mean, it might be slightly more than that, I don't know, but I mean, my friend is an incredible woman in the same way that
clearly had the capacity of about 1 month old. I mean, I'm not saying I'm winning, but just saying disability top trumps,
absolutely, you know what I mean. But she had the same amazing attitude, and it was really important to my mate that her hair's always done nice.
Yes,
and like she
we always kept Clemmie's hair long, plaited, beautiful. But she had this huge kind of afro at one point.
Yeah, and just would never put her in some like terrible like.
Yeah, it would have been a lot easier to cut her hair short and just kind of, put her in a smock.
But things like when her period came and things like that, all of that kind of stuff.
I avoided that, and I was super nervous about that.
Because
like
that's
crazy.
That's a
and
real
it just
thing.
seemed like one of life's extra cruelties.
Yeah.
That you would put that on. And anyway, that was...
All of those things and I just think the insensitivity of the job seeker people, that they think that she's reached this age now, and also now because she's over 18 or over 16, she literally gets no money at all.
Oh my god!
For her, and if she worked out something like the carers allowance worked at 10 pence an hour or something ridiculous.
It
was
so
shocking.
I didn't even get that because I worked part time. So if you work part time, you don't even get that.
Well, because now my mate Esther has now had to get a job, because I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy, and the benefits thing is just this constant battle. It is a huge battle just to get what she is owed and what she deserves.
What she actually needs.
And it was like £200 a month. And that was the max. Like, it wasn't a huge amount of money.
And the amount
by
of
any
paperwork
means,
you have
but
to
the amount
fill
of paperwork.
out. Another one of
and of course, it's changed recently. It used to be DLA, now it's changed to PIP.
Right.
And the amount of disabled people, I was listening to a radio show about this earlier, who just every time a brown envelope comes through the door, have this massive anxiety that this is going to be the moment when their DLA gets taken away from them, and because it's moving over to PIP, and loads of people who did have disability living allowance are getting refused PIP. It's just like a whole thing. It's just like, really? Because isn't the definition of a successful society not one that is obsessed with money and economic growth and all that, but one that values, not just treats but values equally everyone, whatever they contribute or don't contribute.
I think that some people say, but there's just not enough money. But there seems to be other money for other things.
There is, and again, it's not just the money. It's the whole sort of
and
attitude.
I think to fight for something that you actually need, must be exhausting.
Right.
One of the clients in the drama group, she's an incredible woman, but I think her mum might be in her sort of 80 or something like that, and she had to move flats. And they had to put a bid in to get one of these flats. And the amount of paperwork, it was phenomenal.
It's crazy.
And, and I just think it's not like they can just leave her to do it. The parents have to do it. It falls back to the parents. There is no support or extra time for these they're not a poor family by any means or anything like that. But they still have so much work. And I just imagine if you have limited income as well, on top of those things.
Right.
And it's just like, people should not have to fight for what they need.
Absolutely.
It's not like there's not a choice in this. They
no,
don't
exactly.
want to have this.
You didn't choose for this to happen.
I think that's
I remember when we were trying to fight for just a few extra hours of care a week. We used to have like one night of respite where she went to a hospice a month eventually. And all this kind of things, you just kind of asking for a little bit more. And they came around and they assess her, and you kind of just think, look at her. I mean, she's gorgeous, but she can't do anything. Like, she's literally, but it's tick boxes, and she didn't get the highest because she wasn't on ventilation, because she could breathe. And why did basically? She didn't get the highest.
Why did they think that would get any better?
Why
does it need to be assessed?
It's yeah. So they come around, they'd reassess in 6 months' time. Like, she's literally not going to change
in 6 months. Oh, 6 months now. She can kick a ball around.
That's right.
Whatever. It's
she's doing algebra now. It's fantastic. Who knew? Yeah,
it's crazy.
The thing about going back to kind of like walking Clemmy around and having that kind of the people who were kind of scared of her.
Right.
Oh, and the staring. Good Christ, the staring. I understand that when you see something, it's human nature. When you see something that's slightly out of the ordinary, or someone in a wheelchair or with disability, it is human nature to glance. It's just, unfortunately, that's how we're wired. We see something and we glance at it. That's fine. Absolutely fine. To then literally stop and stare is just plain freaking rude.
Are
and
you
people
serious?
did that.
Adults
did that all the time.
My gosh.
Thinking that I didn't notice. I remember literally being like the queue at Sainsbury's and someone a couple of rows just literally looking. And I didn't have the balls to say anything, but I really wanted to say, do you know what? If you stare at her long enough, monkeys actually fly out of her arse. Like, what did they expect would happen? And that used to annoy me. It didn't annoy my husband, though.
Okay.
Which was good.
I'm going to just go slightly off track here.
Okay, but I had a good story about my husband. Go on.
We'll come to that story because I want to hear it. Right. But I think... So I was in Brighton, as I said at the beginning of the show.
Tell us more about Brighton.
Well, there was
Go back to the restaurant.
There was this gentleman. It was bizarre. Darren and I had a couple of drinks. We were walking behind this gentleman who was incredibly huge. Mm-hmm. He was
tall or wide?
Both. He was probably about 6'8", built like a huge guy.
Hagrid, we're talking.
Yeah, huge guy. But it was the most... He couldn't have been more offensive. So he walked around. First of all, he went, oi, oi, like this. Listen to that foreign smell of the fish and chips. Look at those foreigners, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, talk about foreigners. Hang on.
He did this. I come into a point in this.
I know, but I literally couldn't discern what you were saying.
Look at the stinky foreigners serving the fish and chips.
Oh, my God.
This is the language he used. Then there was, in Brighton, obviously there's a beautiful two gay men embracing in a very loving embrace.
Yeah.
Look at the state of that. He went. This is within a matter of 2.5 minutes.
God.
Then there was a homeless guy. There's a huge homeless crisis in Brighton.
Yeah.
He pretended to put money in the cup and went, shove it, walked off. He didn't actually speak like that. This was my voice for him. He didn't have any kind of accent like this at all. But I really wanted him to. Cause he just seemed so like unpleasant kind of character. Anyway.
And giving him Danny Dyer's voice.
Yeah. I'm sure Danny Dyer would never do anything like that. But he was so unpleasant. And I just thought, this is the guy who has a disability right here. Yeah, this guy right here who we judge as normal, typical, walking around, making money, doing the thing. Yeah. And he was so offensive.
And he has such a skewed view of the world.
Yes, and I was so angry. And I was so, because I had a few drinks, I wanted to have a go at him. And I just thought, all this will turn into is an argument. But I'm still livid with myself that I didn't pull him up in that moment. I'm livid with myself.
So difficult to pull people up in the moment.
Still livid with myself that I didn't. But he was with a group as well, with women. I just thought there's women... Why are these women allowing him to speak in this way? Anywho, so what my point is that we see this. That guy has a real limiting life belief.
Yes,
that is he is placing on everyone else, but he's got his limits.
Yeah,
but we seem to accept that as
Do you know what I'm saying? There,
it just drives me insane that we somehow think that this is okay. Yet someone who has maybe a different way of learning or a different way of being physically, we seem to go, well, they're different. Well, actually, no, I align myself way more with anyone like that than that human being.
Right, absolutely.
Who has the same kind of body and the same kind of brain as me.
Yeah, but an entirely different view of the world. No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Tell us your interesting story.
Well, no, so I found the staring awkward, particularly as Clemmy grew older. But one thing going back to there is you would occasionally get... adults who came up to Clemmy, they'd stroke her hair and they'd tell her how gorgeous she was, and we'd get to talking. It was just delightful, and nearly always they'd say, I work with disabled kids, or I used to work with disabled people, and you kind of think, you're in on the secret that severely disabled people are awesome, because actually time with Clemmy should have been available on the NHS. It was just this kind of glorious
cathartic, therapeutic,
absolutely. She just kind of smiled serenely and just sat there looking gorgeous, so they were kind of in on it anyway. But no, Matt was going to say that one of his favourite things was Christmas shopping with Clemmy with the wheelchairs. Firstly, you could park in the centre of Cambridge.
Love a disability
God
badge.
Bless the badge, right? My God. That was just a joy.
Yeah.
And then you could, of course, wheelchairs are great for, you can just load it up with bags. You put bags there, you put bags there.
Yeah, right.
And also the parting of people as you walk into a shop. People will literally fall over themselves to get out of the way of a wheelchair.
Right.
Like someone's coming in with some contagious disease. They would just run for the hills.
Wow.
And once he was Christmas shopping in Cambridge, and he saw another wheelchair and pusher coming towards him. And him and the other wheelchair pusher kind of gave themselves each other a nod, like, we're pushing the wheelchairs.
Sure.
We've got something in common here. And the guy in that wheelchair was Stephen Hawking.
Beautiful story. Love that.
It was Stephen Hawking.
I know,
but you just went, yes, beautiful.
I know the story, but it is.
Do you?
Matt's told me the story.
Yeah, but you have to pretend on the podcast to be.
Wow.
Oh, you're such.
Wow. Also, I've seen Stephen Hawking's in Cambridge. That's a beautiful moment.
You ruined it. You ruined my story.
No.
Yes, you did. You pooped all over it with your condescension.
I added to the story.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful story.
Shut it.
It's a... Right, I do find when you are around with anyone, like we started the podcast saying this, when you are around anyone with any kind of different needs, those needs go really quickly when you just, for example, there's a really great comic called Tim Renko who, I think he had a show recently on BBC One, but him live is a joy to watch. He's an incredibly talented comic.
Right.
And he's got such a dark sense of humour.
Nice.
But probably about 30 seconds into watching him, you just literally forget he has any kind of...
Right, exactly.
Because he's so...
And this is the thing. This is why we need to see more disabled people in the media, in comedy, and it not being a thing.
I think there is so many more comics. There's a comic...
There are.
Brilliant comic. I can't think of his last name, but Jamie in Cambridge, who's phenomenally good. And I'm such a twat. He has an arm that kind of goes down. Every time I think, oh, he wants to give me a hug. It's not. What a twat am I? You know what I mean?
You
like,
are a twat.
I am. And I have...
anyway.
Generally, but I have that thing, and I think I talked to you about it before. So, like, I just want to make everyone feel, no, I'm really comfortable with it. Yeah, it's all really good. And I act like a twat. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Like if there was someone, like maybe an Afro-Caribbean or an African-American, I'd be like, no, I'm not racist, or I'm not...
You're overcompensating to make sure everyone knows that I am... like so fine with everything that I'm more than fine.
And
now I look weird.
Now I look like a bloody twat because I really am being a twat. Do you know what I mean? And I just think, oh, Kirsty, stop it. You know,
you need to embrace your own twattiness because in many ways that's your disability, isn't it? You know,
I am a twat. There. You know, it's something that it's my thing, and it's like. Because I just want everyone to feel really comfortable, and you know, and then
you get a bit overboard.
I could do, but I just think comedy is. I speak this from an able-bodied person, but for me, comedy seems really a great and welcoming and accessible for art form for people with different kinds of needs. Again, I'm speaking...
Although often it's not literally accessible. If you think of the gigs you do, most of them are down in a cellar or upstairs, right? Or up on a stage.
Of course, it physically, absolutely.
And again, you don't want to be on the phone being booked and then go, well, hang on, I need a ramp.
Can I get up those stairs? You know, you're very right.
Because so often the response to that is kind of the eye rolling, kind of like, yeah, okay. You know, that kind of... Whereas it should be like, yeah, of course, like...
Yeah, I hadn't even thought, and you're so right. They're always like, especially like on the open mic circuit or whatever. They're always upstairs and they're downstairs, and they're in this like hovel of a place, and
it's just another one of these invisible to the rest of us barriers that we just unaware of.
I suppose I meant like the job itself, like. I'd love to hear someone who I don't experience what they're living, and I hear it from their point of view in a comedic form is like one of the most genius and wonderful experiences I love so much.
The programme The Last Leg, I think, has been... Do you watch it, Channel 4?
Yes.
With Adam Hills. Yeah. It's just fantastic. Yeah. And I think that's made huge strides towards making it not awkward. Yeah. We can make jokes about this stuff. And it's within a loving context. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And Adam Hills said disabled people are just the same as anyone else. There are nice and not so nice people, and they should be laughed at the same way. Because that's the other thing that we think disabled people, they're morally virtuous. And no, you can be a bastard in a wheelchair. Come on, it's fine.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And what's Josh is on that? Josh Widdicombe, who is if anyone hasn't seen him live. He's a joy to watch live. He's amazing.
He's just a joy to watch.
He's just amazing.
I quite fancy him. Is that?
Oh, that's weird.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
He's like no.
What? Saying he's too young for me?
Yeah.
I'm very young mentally.
Yeah.
I feel got that weird path.
You fancy Josh Widdicombe? Who knew? Yeah, look. I had an exciting story about Brighton, and you talk about Josh Widdicombe.
When? You didn't.
Well, about the Labour conference.
That wasn't exciting. It would if it went somewhere.
It didn't
you
go
saw
anywhere.
Someone from the conference. You saw a gun. I mean, that was, Going back to this thing.
Yeah.
The obsession with overcoming disability, I think, is a big thing. So again, talking about, disabled people are either heroes or they're to be pitied.
Yeah.
And this hero is about, he overcame his disability. His disability didn't hold him back. And there is this kind of expectation for them for disabled people to overcompensate, to make up for this.
I mean, that's a big pressure, isn't it?
And also it indicates that those with disabilities who don't overachieve could have tried harder.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
let their disabilities just drag them down, and frankly, you know.
But then that goes back to our point of just being enough.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Your achievements, whatever.
Right.
No. There's a motivational speaker with no arms and no legs. It's called Nicholas James. He's got like a Vucek.
I know him. Yeah. No, great guy. Yeah.
He's Australian, I think.
Yeah.
And he good Lord, if you ever think I can't do something, and then you go like he's doing that with no arms and no legs.
Right.
It's phenomenal, you know.
But equally, it should be just fine for a guy with no arms and no legs just to be sitting down a pub
having a drink. Absolutely,
you know, and that's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I love the motivational speaker, but you shouldn't have to. Disability shouldn't have to necessarily be. You've got to be a Paralympian. You've got to be inspiring people. You can't just be a normal person.
You don't have to be the. You don't have to be the spokesperson of your people. Do you know what I mean?
You don't have to be inspiring.
Yeah. Do you know though? I talk about that. You know when the South African runner with the blades.
Oh yeah,
shot his girlfriend.
Yes. Again, talking about disabled people can be wankers.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but I did not want to believe that because I was like, look how good he runs on those things.
I know, but again, in a way,
but it looks like he did do it. You know.
Yeah. It's a bit of an eye opener for people.
Yeah, but I was all like, but look. He overcome so much, and I feed into that narrative, do you know? But and how patronising.
But it kind of is. It's patronising, but it's patronising to pity, but it's patronising to say, "Oh, you are an inspiration." That's how I sometimes do it. Because I was told there's a parent of disabled. Oh, you're an inspiration. Like, why? No, shit happens, and you crack on.
I would like to be an inspiration.
Is what most people.
No, hold on. No. If someone called me an inspiration, I would take that and run. Yes, I am.
You are an inspiration, Kirsty Hudson.
Thank you.
There's a British swimmer called Liz Johnson who has cerebral palsy. And she said, some people were born with brown hair, some with blonde, and some with big noses. Well, I was born with cerebral palsy. And just the normality of that statement.
Interesting.
Like, it doesn't mean it's fine. It doesn't mean she doesn't struggle. It doesn't mean that there's not a fight. But it just means this is how it is, and it's fine. This is me.
Like, so cerebral palsy can... it potentially could affect your limbs, and you might have a little bit.
Yeah, so Clemmy had cerebral palsy. It's brain damage.
It's just brain damage.
Brain damage from birth, as I understand it. I might have that wrong.
Right.
And so with Clemmy, it was both mental and physical disabilities.
Right.
But I used to know the guy who had cerebral palsy, and you'd barely know he had his arm was affected and down one side of his body, but still walked around. It was fine. You know, so it's all kinds of levels.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't pretend to be an expert in cerebral palsy.
No,
because I didn't obsess about it either.
No.
About knowing you had to kind of become Clemmy's doctor in a way. You had to know as much as you had to know. But equally, I just wanted to be a mum.
Yeah.
Do you know, so I didn't sort of obsess about.
My mate who I talked about this, she felt constantly she has to be her advocate though when she goes
to
hospital. Like, cause she has like a spinal twist or some curvature.
Clemmy had that too.
Of a spine, and she couldn't sit a certain way, so she had to tell her, no, you can't sit like that because it will cause her pain.
Yes.
But sometimes, did you ever feel this? Sometimes she feels that in the medical profession feel they know better, but she felt she always knew better because she spent all of her time with her.
Yeah, and I think that was a huge learning curve for me. Okay. I'd never really been in a hospital till I gave birth to Clemmy, let alone talked up to like argued with a doctor or nurse. So I just ate up everything they said. Right. But over the years, you learn that, no, actually, I do know more about certain things that they do, so I need to be able to speak up and say, no, you can't do that, or she needs. Yeah, and it's just, but most of the NHS stuff, brilliant.
Were they? Yeah. But sometimes you did feel you needed to be more of a voice. Sometimes.
Oh, you totally do. You do. Right. Yeah, you've got a child who literally can't speak for themselves, can't say when they're uncomfortable, and you know when they are and when they aren't. But most of the nurses totally knew that.
Wow,
most of them said, like, you know, you tell me what she needs. You tell me where, you know, and all that kind of thing.
That's wonderful.
No, and
God bless you.
And having Clemmy obviously was sad at times and hard and all the rest of it. But God, she was a gift.
Yeah.
I like to literally everyone who knew her.
Yeah.
And I can't say like disabled people are a gift because that sounds like huge. Because obviously it's hard and it's passion. But I think what I'm saying is, wouldn't the world be such a dull place if there weren't any Clemmys, or if there weren't any Down syndrome kids, or if there weren't any, if we were all just the same?
Absolutely.
It comes out wrong, but
it does. But I think there's, because like she just was totally present in any given moment. She was totally enough just by being, just being, the being, and that's what the lessons. So that's why people felt peaceful with her, because she was comfortable with just being.
Yeah.
Didn't need to, because she couldn't.
No,
because
absolutely.
But that comfortableness of being, and not one of us, we're so much more human than being.
Yeah.
And
she never had any, she wasn't ever jealous.
No.
Or, jealous or envious.
Unkind or judgmental.
Exactly. Or never felt judged. All those things that we have.
She was just
equally, because I was going to ask you that, do you think in some ways some people with learning difficulties, severe learning difficulties maybe, almost have a greater grasp of the joy of life?
Oh, I think at times
than the rest of us, a purer grasp of it. I think a higher grasp.
Yeah,
not saying it in a patronising way.
Yeah, I think. I mean, what's interesting is though, like sometimes I think if I fell over and died right now, and if they were thinking about getting their squash, they would probably just step over me, because they've got to get their squash, and that is a beautiful thing.
I would step over you to get squash.
I've got the squash to get.
I'm with them.
Sorry, Kirsty.
Entirely.
But interestingly, I think that. I think again within the drama, it's quite a lot in my drama group, and the diverse and challenging personalities within the group.
Right.
But some are just like, I'm just whatever. Yeah. It's just beautiful. There's particularly one fella who has little limited. He can't speak at all.
Yeah.
But he has a glint in his eye, I tell you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like and he laughs at me a lot, which I just
I love him already.
He just thinks I'm hilarious.
Yeah.
So to me, I just think, you get me. You get me on a deep level. So I think absolutely we place so much pressure on doing and I've got to get done and then I'll be happy, or then and I just think that is taken away, then that's just joyful,
absolutely,
as well.
Absolutely. Teresa wrote in.
Oh yes, well done.
I like this. So Teresa is good butter, and her son Ethan is blind.
Oh, okay. Right. Mm-hmm.
So I should say Teresa's one of my friends, very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Teresa were both pregnant with our first children at the same time.
Right.
And she had, I had Clemmy first, who was born with cerebral palsy. Obviously, you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I may have mentioned that.
Yeah.
And then Ethan was born, and Ethan was blind. So we were super bonding anyway, and then super bonded about that. And he's just, the boy is just a delight. Anyway, Teresa said, I've had some funny encounters with our blue badge. My favourite was when I parked in a disabled bay at Sainsbury's with Ethan. I had a friend with me. As we were getting back in the car, an old couple walked past and made a comment saying we shouldn't be parking there. Instead of a rational, excuse me, we have a blue badge, etc., my friend became slightly enraged and started yelling at the old couple, he's blind. And the old couple looked terrified.
Ah,
I like that. You get a lot of blue badge issues. Yeah,
I bet.
If you don't look disabled.
Yeah, I've met Ethan, and Ethan is ridiculously, intimidatingly intelligent.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I spoke Dutch to him because he's learning Dutch because he can do that, and I'm like,
Dutch way better than you.
Way better.
Yeah.
And he just, and also he's got some really fascinating opinions on things, and I just think I mean, God, again, that's me patronising. Look at this blind child who's incredibly intelligent.
Yes, he's made up for his blindness by being massively intelligent.
Yes,
yeah, the dude's just blind and he's cool.
God,
it's enough.
He's just a cool kid. No, but
he's a cool kid. Yeah.
But what's irritating about him is he's really cool and he's a really good musician and he's really intelligent.
Yes,
and you say you can draw quite well as well.
Oh, he can.
Stop it,
Ethan. You're doing too much.
Yes.
Teresa also said Ethan can park crowded streets like Moses parting the Red Sea when he uses his cane.
Love that.
Sometimes people literally leap out of the way rather than just pausing so we could guide around them. And that's kind of, it's a nice thing that people don't want to get in the way. Mm-hmm. But I do that. If I see a blind person coming towards me with a cane, they could be like half a mile away, and I will gather up my kids and go, get the blind person.
Yeah.
Move!
Because I don't want to get in their way.
It's a bomb coming.
I don't want to get in their way.
No, because you don't want to get in their way.
And I'm that clumsy that I could trip them up.
Exactly.
And I trip the blind person up. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely.
I think I probably had loads more to say, but I think I'm happy.
You're happy?
Do you feel happy?
Yeah, I can't do my catchphrase this week on this.
Disability.
I can't do that. It's just, that's not right, is it? Can't do that.
It doesn't feel
quite
right.
So just do it or don't.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we haven't offended
totally, God, absolutely. If we have, let us know. But let us know.
Yeah, tell us. Tell us off. Go on, snap our wrists. Sorry, go on.
Well, I'm excited about. We're getting some really listeners from far and wide.
We are,
which is very delightful and exciting. If you can, it just would do us a massive favour to subscribe.
It's got a
subscribe to
go on Apple iTunes and subscribe
and
there.
Subscribe there. That's really helpful to us. And if you get a minute, just leave us a little review because it's really helpful. And we just love to hear what you think. Obviously, we have got our feedback corner now, which is coming out more and more, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
What are you talking about?
Our feedback. Our butters because the Butters family come and tell us what they want to say about our issues.
We want to hear from you, and then we'll read out your stuff.
We do because
and then you don't just have to hear us twaddling on.
Yeah. Next week.
So next week we're going to be doing, Kirsty, drum roll.
We've decided this and I've forgotten what it was decided.
Oh, saying a drum roll and everything. Come on.
Tell me in whisper.
I can't remember.
Look, no. Hold on. I do know.
Dieting. Next week we're doing dieting.
We are doing dieting. So, if you want to send in your tips, don't do that.
No,
send in your experience of dieting. You can send
funny dieting groups.
Funny dieting stories. How do you feel about dieting? Have you dieted?
Should we diet?
Mm-hmm. Rebecca will be posting some questions on Facebook.
Will I?
Yeah, you
put that on me again.
Yeah, well, I'll do it if you want. I'll post the questions.
No, I'll do it.
Somebody
spelled correctly.
Some little magic fairy will do that for us. Do get in touch. We'd love to hear from our butters.
Now, hang on a minute. We can't wrap up yet. Overheard corner.
I wasn't wrapping.
Have you got anything for overheard corner?
Yes, I have.
So just a little recap, guys. This is if we've overheard a snippet of a conversation this week that's fairly unfathomable but funny.
Yes.
Did you?
I did. Mine is fathomable.
Is it?
It's fathomable.
Say it again.
Fathomable.
It's not unfathomable.
No, it's not fathomable.
No,
it's fathomable.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm in the restaurant. I'm eating the food, and there was a.
Is this the restaurant that we heard of earlier?
Yes, Tete. I'm in the restaurant, and there's a group of 3 incredibly beautiful young women talking, and she says this to the waiter. They were talking about relationship. She said, "You see, I'm a wild stallion. I want someone to walk next to me, not always want to ride me." And she said that to the waiter. Was she chatting the waiter up? No, they were talking about like boyfriends and how she was single, and she said, "I am," with no sense of irony. Does she know the whole riding thing was? No, I don't. No,
she didn't get the double meaning.
No, she just said, "I am a wild stallion. I want someone to walk beside me, not always want to ride me." I just loved it. It was just so profound.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
I didn't actually have an overheard this week, but what I did have was I was walking through town, and a guy in a parked van,
a vehicle,
if you will, had his window down. I was walking past, and he went, "Excuse me." I said, "Yeah." He said, "What day is it?" I went, "It's Wednesday." I thought, well, that's weird. But and that was it. And he was like, "Oh, thanks. What I really, really wanted him to say next, though, was, "No, what year? And then I wanted him to say, "It worked." But that's weird. Is it? What day is it? Not date. Day.
The day of the week.
So he was up and about. He was in his van. He was working.
What time of day was it?
About midday.
So it'd been the day for quite a while.
Yeah.
Wow.
What day is it? What year?
You people, you are gorgeous. Have a great week.
You are lovely. Some of the loveliest listeners I think we've ever had are here this week with us. I'm feeling it.
Yeah,
I can just feel it.
They are just beautiful. They're sending their beautiful energy.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's like pre energy.
Pre energy.
Yeah,
that's
because they're not there yet. Or post energy. That's the thing about time.
Okay.
Who knows? We'll see you next week for dieting and regalia.
Yeah. Regalia?
Regalia.
That's the wrong word.
It's not. It's the right word.
It's not.
Okay.
Have a lovely week.
Lots of love.
Love you.
Bye.
Come back next week when Rebecca and Kirsty will tickle your eardrums with yet more gentle, pointless wonderments.